Welcome back. I'm Amanda with Healthy House on the Block, and I'm here with our weekly video and tip on creating an indoor space that truly supports your health and wellness rather than burdening it down with toxins and poor indoor air quality. So this week we are talking about PFOAs. So this is a chemical toxin that a lot of times we associate with Teflon and Teflon pans. So you might think you don't even have, but the truth is PFOA toxins are everywhere throughout our house. They're in our textiles, they're in the products we bring in, and they have some really big health concerns. So in today's video, we're going to talk about what this toxin even is, what it's used for, because I think that's the best way to identify it around your house. We're also going to cover why you need to get it out of your house. So the health implications, what it could be doing to your body and your health and wellness. And then finally, of course, I'm going to share with you how to go PFOA free and make some swaps in your house and make it a healthier space. First, it's important to understand what PFOAs are. So this is an acid. It's the main compound in Teflon and in other solutions. It usually gives products a water resistant coating. So if you ever notice water beading off of something like a carpet or a fabric, it generally means it was treated with a protectant that prevents water and staining from impacting the product. This coating is made primarily with PFOAs. PFOA is an industrial chemical compound in the simplest form. Now, the short list of where PFOAs can be found in your home would be leather, adhesives, waxes, carpet, heat-resistant tape, polishes, paint, protective sprays, coatings for upholstery, waterproof clothing, nonstick pans, and as also cleaning products. So the largest problem with PFOA and Teflon dangers is that this chemical has an extremely long life, and it's being found that it breaks down extremely slowly. It has also had a huge impact on our environment. So this chemical has been used since the 1950s, and human exposure and environmental contamination has increased since, causing large problems within our homes and our environments due to this toxin. So through the improper dumping of this chemical, as well as just our everyday use habits and our massive amounts of trash, PFOAs are being found in groundwater, which is not only killing animals and fish, but it's also infiltrating private wells and drinking water sources. So knowing that PFOAs have a very long life means that it can really impact our health and our wellness, because our body has a really difficult time detoxing this particular toxin, especially when we're coming in contact with it on a really frequent basis. So here's what you need to know about health and wellness and PFOA toxins. So Teflon dangers and PFOA chemicals are really problematic to health in several different ways. So first, as I mentioned before, this chemical doesn't break down in the environment or in our human bodies. It actually has a half-life of 3 years. So this means that PFOAs are not metabolized by the body, and it stays in the body for years, where it builds up and impacts various organs. 2 communities in Minnesota and Ohio that had exceptionally large exposures were studied at length in terms of the health impacts and long-term problems with PFOAs. So these potential health risks included increased risk of diabetes, decreased immune function and immune disorder, liver toxicity and liver problems, cholesterol changes, thyroid dysfunction, and even an increased risk of cancer. So the unfortunate part of Teflon dangers and PFOAs is that not only are we being exposed to this toxin within our home where we have control, but we're also being exposed to this chemical outside of our home and in our water sources, which is much more difficult to control. So this is why it's incredibly important to limit the sources of PFOAs in your home wherever you can. So let's talk about swapping things out and going PFOA free. What does that look like, and how simply could you do it in your own home? The first step is assessing what you have in your home in terms of products that contain this chemical. So looking at the list of items that typically have PFOAs, in them or on them will give you a really good idea of products you'll want to buy that are PFOA free. So in my opinion, there are two things you should consider when it comes to Teflon dangers and going PFOA free. So the first is ask yourself, what do I use or come in contact with on a daily basis or even multiple times throughout the day? The second question is, what takes up the most surface area in my home? So this, we want to think about flooring, paint, furniture. It's also a good idea to think about the three ways we come in contact with toxins, which is inhalation, ingestion, and skin absorption. So anything that causes you to ingest this chemical toxin goes to the top of the removal list. This is especially true of the Teflon dangers in pots and pans. Next, you want to look at items that are sitting on your skin for really long periods of time. This could include bedding, waterproof clothing, or even your upholstered furniture that you sit on. And then finally, we want to pay attention to the dust that may be created by certain materials, such as carpet and upholstery foam. This dust can enter our airways and end up being inhaled into our bodies. So again, it's important to remember that this toxin has a half-life of 3 years, meaning each time you come in contact with the chemical, it ends up building up and staying in our body and our systems for a really long period of time. So some really simple things that you can do in your home to reduce exposure to PFOAs without making any swaps at all would be to dust frequently, vacuum on a regular basis, and get rid of any sort of particles that could be building up from your textiles or your carpets that might be treated with these PFOAs. The other thing that's really important to do is get a high quality water filter. This is going to filter out any potential contaminants in your water that you could be being exposed to. And then you can start to look for safe alternatives to PFOAs and Teflon throughout your home. So first, you could ditch your pots and pans that have Teflon. Anything that is scratched or that is clearly Teflon and starting to look worn definitely needs to get thrown away. We want to stick to stainless steel, cast iron, or 100% ceramic with a lead-free glaze. You can also start to swap out your cleaning products. So I love Aspen Clean for my cleaner, and I know this is a healthy choice. It is EWG verified, and it's an excellent option for swapping out a number of cleaners with one concentrated cleaner. A big item that you could start to plan for is looking at your carpet. So carpet is often treated with a protectant to repel liquids and stains, and this repellent often contains PFOAs, and it can begin to create tiny particles that end up in our HVAC systems and in the dust throughout our home. So carpets are particularly concerning when you have children or babies lying on the floor, and you can start to maybe plan out replacing your carpet in your home. If you're not in that position, a good alternative would to be laying a rug on top of it to protect anybody from direct contact. You can also start thinking about repainting. So paint, I think, is only necessary to change if you're going to be painting anyways, or you have a lot of chipping paint. I don't think that I would recommend someone just repaint over and cover toxins unless you really were in the position to update your painting. So if you are going to be painting in your space, you want to find a completely toxin-free paint that is PFOA-free as well. I have a list of Healthy House approved paints on my website, and it is linked in this week's blog post. And then finally, you can start to plan out healthier upholstery. Now, upholstery and mattresses are a huge contributor to PFOAs and other Teflon dangers within our home. So making sure that these products that we have in our home contain safe foams and upholstery fabrics is a huge way to reduce the exposure to PFOAs on our body, because we spend a lot of time on these surfaces. It's also important to note that our bodies are both warm and increase the humidity levels. This will actually increase the level of off-gassing that happens on these surfaces. So of course, in this week's blog post, I have linked for you healthy mattress options as well as how to find toxin-free furniture. So these are purchases that really need to get planned out and researched. So give yourself some time and some grace as you move forward and plan out these big parts of your home to replace with something that is PFOA free. As always, thank you so much for being here. I hope you can take at least one idea from this video, and if you found it helpful, I would love a like on this video. I would also love if you would subscribe to my channel and come hang out with me every single week, where I have new ideas and new tips on how to create an indoor space that truly supports your health and your wellness.